Welcome to the Heads Up podcast, brought to you by the National Migraine Centre, the only UK charity treating headache and migraine. Visit our website to book your appointment with a world-class headache doctor wherever you are in the UK. There is no need for a referral. You can refer yourself. Our headache specialist doctors are looking forward to helping you soon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of a Heads Up podcast. And today I have got various topics to talk to you about with my guest today, Nicola and Dominic Gribbin. And Nicola has had chronic migraine for quite some time. She's going to talk to us a bit about that. But because of that, she's keen to support other people. And I'm delighted to say she's not only written a book about how it is to have migraine, which is a fantasy. She's going to tell us a bit more about that and the strategies that she's managed to include in the book. But also Dominic is doing an amazing trip in a kayak. So we'll be discussing all of that and hopefully raising some money for 3 charities, one of which is the National Migraine Centre. So welcome, Nicola and Dominic.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Hello, thank you.
So I'm going to get you to say a little bit about yourself. So Nicola, do you want to start?
Yes, absolutely. So Nicola, as you said, I've had migraine for most of my life. And yes, it absolutely inspired me to take on some creativity and decide to start writing, which I absolutely love doing. And as I say, I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So I've had a long career in technology, and this was just something that kept me going in the background and just kind of taken over my life now. I just absolutely love it. So unexpectedly became a writer.
That's very exciting. And I'm hoping that the launch of your book and the spread of your book out into the world is going to be a very exciting time for you. I know it was when I wrote a book about migraine, and it was published a few years ago, and it was really lovely. And the feedback that you get from people who it's helped is lovely too. So Dominic, just introduce yourself a little bit.
So morning, Katie. So obviously I'm Nicola's other half. I seem to be falling into the category of sort of carer, which is obviously a topic we're going to pick up later. But so I've just turned 60, and I'm about to undertake a big trip, which we'll go on to later. But I am a professional television cameraman. I have been for a very long time now, and I hope to put those skills to good use with regard documenting our trip. Obviously, there's a whole other side to this, and that is my support of Nicola through this dreadful condition. And so I hope to have something to be able to add as a carer to those people like myself. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I think that aspect is really important, Dominic, isn't it? Because it's very isolating for the person suffering from migraine sometimes, and knowing that the people around them are really understanding and helping, I think, is really key. So we'll talk a bit about that as we go along. So Nicola, tell us a bit about your chronic migraine. Was it presumably it was episodic migraine to start with, coming occasionally and then being well in between those attacks, and then it got worse and worse. Do you want to just say a bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So as a child, I had tummy migraine, when I was about 7 years old. And at the time, the doctors warned my mother it might become classic migraine. I know there's many different types of migraine, so I'm just going with the general episodic classic migraine. We obviously all hoped it wouldn't, but it does run in the family. So there was quite a high chance it was going to happen. And for me, it was really triggered when I was under the stress of doing exams at school at about the age of 16. I had my first bout of attack, and of course my mum knew exactly what it was straight away because her sister had it, so she straight away recognized and got me the right support that I needed, which was fantastic. And I had lots of outpouring of family who were suffering but saying, try this, have you tried that? So I was very lucky in the one hand that I had a supportive family who had experienced it, but on the other hand they were all suffering as well, so it comes in roundabouts. But that's when it first started, and it was absolutely episodic. So I managed it And I loved having the days, obviously, when I didn't have a migraine. But gradually over the years, I mean, it's been many, many years now. I'm 53. So, and it has just gradually got worse and worse and become chronic, which is, frustrating. So I wake up with it every morning at the crack of dawn. So that has its advantages. I hear the dawn chorus. I go outside in the winter, I see the stars and I love it. And I go out with the dog and the fresh air really helps. I have a little routine that I do in the mornings now. Try not to take my medication if I don't think I need it and try and manage it myself. But sometimes you just have to give up on the day and it all escalates. So you don't quite know what's in store for you each day. But yeah, it's now become a bit of a routine. But unfortunately, that makes your sleep a bit disturbed.
Yeah, so the effect of migraine does ripple out onto friends and family and work, doesn't it? And we're always conscious that this is not just somebody having migraine attacks, it's their family and other people around them having to respond to those. So I'm guessing, Nicola, that you've been through various different medications. Do you want to talk about or the strategies that you've found helpful? So the fresh air and getting out into sunlight early in the morning, even if it's a bit of a gloomy day, is very helpful for improving sleep quality. And so we do encourage people to do that. But obviously, a lot of people are get onto different medications. So you've been through a few, haven't you?
Yes, I've tried. I think most of the medications that are out there over the years, I feel like I've been on lots of things. Some of them gave me side effects, some of them didn't. So it really was trial and error. I've sort of been through all the triptans. I found one now that really feels like it helps me. And I'm carry it with me all the time, like a support aid, that I've got it there and I know it's there just in case I need it. Which is brilliant. So I'm using naratriptan at the moment, and just normal paracetamol. I went through strong painkillers and I found that the side effects of the strong painkillers weren't working for me. And I found that actually just paracetamol or something like Anodin Extra, which has the extra bit of caffeine and aspirin in it, sometimes helps as well. But I try not to take too much of that. I try and sort of, because I know you get I went through all the rebound headache piece when I was taking too many painkillers. I went through when Sindol was on the market, before they had to change their formula. That was a godsend at the time, but that had the codeine in and that caused that rebound effect. So I had to move away from all the codeine ones. That was really difficult time. That withdrawal from taking those was really, really tough because I was told no painkillers at all at that time, not even paracetamol. And I remember being so much pain one day in my lunch hour, I was begging a chemist to give me something that wasn't a painkiller that could help me, and he was like, I can't do anything to help you. So I had to just go home to bed in the end.
I think you're making some really good points, actually, because I'm always encouraging people who've tried a triptan. Sometimes they will try one and then go, oh, it didn't work, so I don't take anything. And there are 7 different ones. So it is worth going back and trying at least one other one until you find one that suits you. And the other message, which I'm always banging on about, is codeine. And often, even in pharmacies, you can read a packet that says, contains codeine suitable for migraine, and we're always saying no, that's really a bad idea. So it's a very good points that you're making, and you've learned through your own experience over the years of what is a good idea and what's a bad idea. With any of these acute rescue medications, we always say just take them a maximum of 10 days in a month if you can. But luckily now we have some newer medications to help people through that detoxing period if they have been overusing medications. But you've moved on to one of the newer anti-CGRP drugs, haven't you? Do you want to just mention how you got to that treatment?
Yes, that's been a lifesaver. I'm still having the chronic migraine every day, but it has completely transformed everything. I was overusing the naratriptan. Dr. Gregwell, my wonderful specialist, said, how many days a month are you taking? You need to, and I was like, oh. And then she suggested this amazing drug, Vyepti. I think I was one of the early adopters of it. I feel very blessed and lucky that I was there at the beginning. But I go once every 3 months for an infusion in my local hospital. A shout out to them, they're wonderful. Get cared for every time I go there, so it's lovely. And then what I'm finding is I can get on top of the migraine when I wake up with it in the morning, and I have a much more more of a chance to knock it back rather than it escalating. So I can often by 11 o'clock have knocked it back enough that it's just a background thing, where before I was still struggling throughout the day to try and manage it. And then by the evening, I am still exhausted from getting through the day, but at least I've been able to get through the day. So it really has. I mean, I still have my ups and downs, but it's given me a whole new lease of life.
That's really brilliant to hear. So, Nicola, I also understand that as part of your migraine experience, you've not just had what everybody typically thinks of as a migraine attack, which is the bad headache and the nausea and the noise and light sensitivity, but you've also had a lot of vestibular or dizziness symptoms. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, that's much more recent. So I used to get dizziness just as an aura, like I would get the smell aura and the sound and the flashing lights. And then it developed to become a 24/7 chronic vestibular condition where the best I can describe it is like in Wizard of Oz, when the house is spinning at the opening scene and you just feel like everything's spinning, and it was just constant. It felt like I couldn't walk straight and my balance was totally off, and it literally floored me, which was surprising because I wasn't expecting it. Totally changed our lives, didn't it? And it, hypnotherapy helped me again. Vestibular physiotherapy I tried. I was already on the migraine medication that they were suggesting for the vestibular. So I was really trying to find something else to accompany that to try and calm my whole nervous system down. But I again turned to writing and creativity in my times when I'm sort of trying to not go down that pit of despair. And I wrote a little poem, which really helped me, and hopefully it would help others sort of raise awareness of what it's like when you can't get your balance and how you can find it again. Because I'm thankful to say now I feel like I've got them under control with my new routine of meditating each day and getting that fresh air. So hopefully it would help others as well. So if you would like to follow our Edge of Britain circumnavigation journey, there's a link there to my coastal meditations, but also to the poem that I wrote if it's of interest to people. So we'll share that link with you after the show.
By the way, I intend to be involved as well there, because I'm not a sufferer from migraine, but I do find tremendous benefit in the whole sort of, is mindfulness the right term? There's certainly the hypnotherapy bit.
Yeah,
going around Britain,
being present in the moment
it's half a physical challenge. It's half a challenge up here. And to be at peace with what you're about to undertake, and to be perhaps at peace with stretches of coast you're worried about for whatever reason, that's where Nicola's hypnotherapy sessions really kind of come in, and I'm looking forward to that. You'll see me involved with those on the forums. So
I'm really thankful that it was Paul McKenna that taught me the hypnotherapy, and he did. If you remember when David Walliams spun the channel, he worked with David Walliams. We did hypnotherapy with him to help him with that crossing. So I'm going to use the techniques that Paul taught me to help Dominic with his mindset each day. So I can't recommend Paul McKenna's hypnotherapy. That's really helped me as well. So yes, I'm hopefully doing my best to support you on your journey. So
so we will hopefully catch up with you along the way, and we'll do another podcast episode, and we can talk a bit more maybe in detail about the vestibular migraine, how that has been on your journey, and the balance battles which you were saying you had to working out the balance between having migraine and having a work and family life and your career, but also actual physical balance challenges. So I know a lot of our listeners are very interested in learning more about vestibular migraine, which is sometimes under-recognized or misdiagnosed. So when we catch up with you, we will do that. So as well as the migraine pain, we often hear that people suffer from brain fog. So that brings me on to ask you, did you have brain fog as one of your symptoms? And if so, is it because we've managed to clear the brain fog that you've been inspired to write the book?
Well, unfortunately, I still have the brain fog. But I am of the age where I'm on hormone replacement therapy as well. So you don't know, is it the menopause or is it the migraine that's causing the brain fog? So I do still have the brain fog. I also have other auras. So I had the ringing in the ears. I get a smell sensation. So I have a smell aura. I also get the flashy lights and the stiff neck muscles. So it then yes, I've been given all of it. But what inspired me to write the book was really, I was looking for a creative outlet, something to do in the evenings. And I was obviously, as many migraine sufferers, you spend a lot of time listening to your wonderful Heads Up podcast and all of the other resources at our disposal to try and find out what worked for somebody else and will it work for me. But what I found was when I was reading it all, the more I focused on the migraine, the more the pain was worse, because I was focusing on everyone, like other patient stories and their suffering. And then I was like, yes, I completely understand that and empathizing with it, that I wanted to do something that would write a story to help people understand and raise awareness of what migraine sufferers go through. But I also wanted to do it so it wasn't front and center of the story, so that you learn some different techniques to help heal yourself and change your mindset at the same time as raising awareness. So it's one of those stories where I was able to weave in my experience of living with chronic pain, but also at the same time I'd found hypnotherapy. So I was able to weave in what I was learning through the hypnotherapy into the story to hopefully help others who were looking for things to go alongside their medication just to help improve the quality of their lives.
I think that's really brilliant. I did a podcast episode a while ago with a hypnotherapist, and I think one of the things that we try and do very much at the National Migraine Centre is to look very holistically at a whole range of different techniques that people can use to try and help themselves. But with your book, am I right in thinking that it's kind of aimed at young adults and older? Because, I think I'm also very aware that we see a lot of teenagers around the time of the public exams, as you experienced, worsening around with the pressures and everything that's changing in teenage hormones, friendships, sleep patterns, all of that. So was there a particular reason why you have aimed it at that age group?
Really, it's because that's where it all began for me. When I had my first attack, it was during an exam at that exact period where life is very stressful. But also at work at the time, I was helping a community who suffer with chronic pain, and quite a lot of that community, migraine was one of the things that they were suffering from. And I had one-to-one with various people of that age group who were going through the same kind of things that I'd gone through at that age, where worried about commitments in case they couldn't make it, worried about the stress of the exam in case, because you can't change an exam date and you don't know if you're going to have a migraine that day. So that whole anxiety before the day, or a special wedding or whatever it may be, it's really, really hard to commit. And then because you build the anxiety up, the chance of you getting one is probably increased. So it's like a vicious circle, really. So just being able to share some of the things that I was doing to help really help them. And I thought, I'm only touching one or two people here. I really want to help more people, which is when my hobby writing became more of reality. So I really have to get this book out here in the world and share it with other people.
And the book is called Silent Curse.
Yes. Yes.
Do you want to hold it up so we can see it on the screen?
Yeah.
And we'll put some images on the blurb. So it's beautiful, I have to say. So have you sort of tested it out on friends and family, or what's been happening with the launch?
Yes, I've been very lucky. And do you know what? The added thing that I wasn't expecting to happen with the book is it's reconnected me with old friends that I've not been in touch with for some time because life gets busy, and they've seen me sort of saying, oh, I've written this book, and I'm reconnecting with lots of wonderful people that I've met, during my time, which has been fantastic. Yes, I was very blessed.
Wonderful. So Dominic, can I just come on to you a bit? So we talked at the very beginning of the episode about the role of you as a carer, if I put that in inverted commas, because, carer means different things to different people. But you've had to watch Nicola struggling in pain on a daily basis. What's been your role in supporting her? What would you say it's how has it impacted you?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to sort of almost like qualify things and say, I've only ever known Nicola with migraine. This isn't a condition she developed, halfway through our marriage or something. I've only ever known Nicola suffering with these dreadful headaches and so forth. So I've sort of passively sort of just accepted that that is Nicola, and that's her life, and that I'm part of that life. So I haven't had to make any. It doesn't feel like I've had to make any massive adaptations. And so I think the best way to sort of start this off is to say, as a carer, and that's another thing, I've never considered myself a carer. I'm Nicola's husband.
Yeah,
This is
of
just
course.
one of those things that you take on in life. I mean, I may have a sort of issue that Nicola has to sort of help up me through, but I think yeah. So it's actually a matter of perspective. So I think the way that I've approached it is it's basically the choice is this sort of glass half full, glass half empty. You can look at this in a very negative way. You can say, as a carer, that you're seeing all of the downsides, everything from the fact that it can completely rob you of a normal life, normal kind of social life. There'll be occasions when we're completely up to speed to go out to see friends, to go walking in the hills, whatever it may be, and it's completely wiped out in an instant by a headache. So things like that, you have to you accept after a while that you have to be very flexible. You have to adapt. That there are occasions when Nicola just is completely sort of wiped out by it, and that's sort of the end of things. You can equally look at it negatively and say, well, that has inevitable knock-ons in terms of relationships. It feels like you spend less time with one another because Nicola is sort of up in her bedroom in a blacked out environment, in bed, doing everything she can to kind of cut out all these horrible sort of stimuli which are making things worse for her. So there is an element of that. You can look at it negatively. You can say that it's a big issue with relationships, that it, as I say, it disrupts your sort of social life. You can feel like you're walking on eggshells, in terms of mood and so forth. That's one way of looking at it. The other is to sort of say, well, we just adapt and we work through these sort of choke points where we can't actually seem to sort of do things together, and Nicola needs her own time, her own space to sort of get through those migraine episodes. But I've tried to be positive and say, if we work around it, we can still have a very normal life and very normal relationship that's not affected by those sort of things which are going to get in your way as a couple. There's no doubt about it. It does have a big effect on one's relationship. But I prefer to look at it positively and say that the moments of clarity, the moments of kind of non-migraine, or at least Nicola would scale her migraines on a scale of 1 to 10. So if we're in a 10 episode, forget it. She's not on the agenda. I'm on my own. I'm doing my own thing. But if it's a 5 or less, actually life goes on very normally. Nicola's incredibly well adapted to dealing with pain. She's dealt with pain all her life. And so a headache strength of 5 on Nicola's scales is probably a 10 on most people's scale, but she's able to adapt. That means our lives can go on basically normally during those episodes. But yeah, I think one has to be half glass full as a carer and think that actually, you know what, I'm not going to let this get on top of us. We're going to live a normal life. We just have to adapt to times when the plan sort of derails too strong a road, but they can't quite, they're briefly at the buffers, but then you take the branch line and you get round it and you can move on to the next stage. So I think it, as a carer, that can be very frustrating, but you just have to sort of realize that there actually is always light at the end of that tunnel. You can get through that.
And preparing and being aware in advance of things, I guess, is a part of the strategy, isn't it? It's sort of knowing, right, this is plan A, but this is plan B. And that, if this happens suddenly, then we'll change and adapt, as you say, Dominic. And I think what you're illustrating is the refuting the myth that people with migraine are swinging their lead and, you know, they're just faking being ill. Actually, most people with migraine are like Nicola in that they're migraine warriors and they are keeping going with as many, you know, as much support, as many strategies, techniques that they can do to keep going. So one of the times when migraine can either kick off or can be slightly better is during pregnancies. And of course, I know that you've got some kids who are now not babies, but I'm guessing that at times when the children were little, perhaps Dominic, you had to step into the childcare role a bit more when Nicola was keeling over. Was that a time when it was particularly about being a partnership?
Oh, 100%. I mean, in fact, actually, that I sort of moment of realization, actually, things were going to be a bit different was, okay, we circumnavigated Britain in 2004. Nicola announced to me with beautiful timing the day we left that she was pregnant. Okay, now, so that meant that for the next 2,300 miles, Nicola was dealing with a combination of morning sickness, seasickness, and everything else. We reached a sort of critical point when we got to the Bristol Channel, the beautiful island of Lundy, and Nicola was so ill with it that in effect she was completely incapacitated, like extreme incapacitation. It actually happened later in the trip as well, and that was my sort of moment of realization that there were going to be times when I had to completely take the helm.
Yeah.
Now, follow, carry that forward. Children, absolutely. Inevitably there were many, and continue to be many occasions where I have to step into the breach.
Yeah.
On roles which would normally be shared or entirely say Nicola's responsibility, and I have to sort of take the helm at that point, and I have to sort of step in. That's not always easy.
Yeah.
But it's sort of become just an accepted sort of thing, really, isn't it? That we just sort of have to sort of mix and match.
Yeah. So working as a team brings us on to talking about your challenge, because you're very much working as a team. So you mentioned that you circumnavigated the Britain, wasn't it, back in 2004. So you obviously have done something like this before, but the challenge is a bit different this time. How did you circumnavigate the last time? It was in a boat with the two of you?
It was. Shall I?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, absolutely. 22 years later, we find ourselves in the same position as we were as a newlywed couple. So, okay, first time round, we circumnavigated mainland Great Britain in a conventional way. We had a little boat, a little. Yeah, it was fairly unconventional even then. It was a little 20-foot boat. To those in the know, it was a boat called a Hardy Pilot, which is the sort of boat you'd see really pottering about on rivers and bits and bobs. Anyway, not one you would normally think of circumnavigating Great Britain in. Anyway,
you changed it, didn't you? Had to add fuel, and you did lots of
So we made adjustments, and we broke the myth that this and we proved this boat actually entirely capable of going around. So this time, and we made it round. This time, 22 years later, it's a very different project. This time, sort of gnawing away, certainly from my perspective, gnawing away. I've been canoeing for best part of 48 years. I'm now 60. It's been my life. And gnawing away over that time has been the desire to sort of pull it all together and basically circumnavigate mainland Great Britain. This is an enormous undertaking, I should add, but I'm well aware of that. But anyway, I mentioned this to Nicola some months ago, and thinking, oh my God, what reaction am I going to get to this? Actually, she was immediately sort of completely enthused by the idea and thought, right, we're going to do this as this amazing team venture, and I'm going to kind of circumnavigate the Great Britain in a motorhome. We hadn't even got the motorhome at that point. In parallel with you, Dominic, who's going to be solo sea kayaking around the mainland British coast. And that's basically it. So it's evolved very, very quickly into me at sea on my own during the daytime, Nicola ashore, my sort of advanced base camp. So I've got this wonderful luxury, despite being solo at sea, I've got this amazing luxury of having a sort of base camp, a warm bed, and hopefully some hot food at the end of the day. You know, that's a big deal, you know, when you're spending a minimum of 6 hours paddling each day, minimum. Let's talk about scale. As the smallest figure, 2,300 miles, give or take, is the sort of quickest way, the quickest mileage around mainland Great Britain. That's a big trip, 2,300 miles.
Yeah.
To achieve that within a sensible time frame of the summer months and into early autumn, that means I have to average about 25 miles a day.
Right.
So the back of envelope for maths for that is, that's what, 92 days minimum of paddling. Now add to that the fact that the real world is going to throw at you weather. It's going to throw at the fact that you inevitably want days off, rest days. And we've sort of bitten off further challenge that we're going to be producing a weekly diary, video diary, which we're uploading to our YouTube channel, Edge of Britain, where we're going to update people about our progress. Now add to that furthermore that I've got to acquire footage. So when I've done my paddling in the day, I've got to get off, get changed, throw some food down my throat, and then go off filming to get all these pretty GVs. Actually, oddly, I'm a bit weird like that. I actually find filming quite cathartic. And so you know, I can sort of lose myself after a physical day in sort of getting pretty pictures of kind of contextual stuff of coastal scenery. And we've got a drone, so I hope to get some nice drone flying done. I'm not at all concerned about the acquisition. We've got to edit it. That's a challenge. So we're throwing an awful lot at this, you know. Endurance event, Nicola's the mobile base camp. She's got an enormous logistical task. She's got to do all the forward planning, i.e. where's the campsite, all the food, all the fuel, keeping in touch with me. It's massive. I mean, the whole thing is a big logistical exercise. And add to that, she's also my very capable editor, because I'm not fully across the editing programs to make these weekly diaries. So she's doing that as well. So anyway, it's a big job. So yeah, that's where we are.
So I have already subscribed to your YouTube channel, Edge of Britain. I will be watching.
Thank you.
But also from the National Migraine Centre, we're going to be sharing some posts on our social media. Are you going to have Instagram or any of these other social media things? You're going to just stick with the YouTube?
Yes, no, absolutely. So I'm going to be doing a separate sort of Instagram, TikTok, social media, Facebook kind of channel. So I'll be tracking my migraine journey, and I'll be taking Silent Curse on tour. So I'll be taking pictures of the book at each of the locations as we go around Britain to tour the book. But also I'm going to be tracking how my migraines go. So I'm hoping that I will be living the healing powers and suggestions in my fantasy story for real in the van as we go round. So I'll be practicing the meditations. I'll be in calm environment, totally outside of our normal daily routine, walking the dog in the fresh air, getting the exercise, loving the company, the relaxation. So I'm really going to track how it changes my migraine diary. I'm hoping that the frequency will reduce and I'll see physical changes. We're going to be eating healthily. I've actually done one of those, you know, gut biome tests so that I can work out what's the right food for me, in the hope that that helps as well. So eating right is one of the things in the book as well. Eating nice fresh fruit and berries and things. So I'm going to try and live what I'm suggesting in the story and see if it helps. And it will just be interesting to see. And hopefully we won't have too many down days because of my migraine instead of the weather.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean,
so you've both, I mean, I'm just really blown away by this. This is an amazing challenge, and it's lovely to hear the way that you're going to work as a team with the different challenges for both of you, but you know, coming together every day to kind of consolidate what you've been doing and share that with a wider audience is brilliant. Are the kids coming to meet you? Are they cheering you on from the
I think they will be. So they've obviously got to keep the house going. We have pets at home that they've got to make sure are still alive when we get back. So they'll be looking after the house. But we've got 3 boys. We're very, very lucky, and they are brilliant, and they all want to come and visit us. So yes, I think they will come. Whether they all come together or in shifts, I'm not sure, but they'll come from time to time and help out.
Notice Nicola added, I think they'll come.
They'll come.
They're teenagers. You can't pin teenagers down entirely. No, they're wonderful boys. We hope that there's various things going on here. Obviously, here we are potentially away for 4 months.
Yeah.
So we're relying on the boys on the one hand to police the home and to not burn it down and not have too many parties. And on the other hand, yeah, we want to see them. We're sort of hoping we can sort of act like a bit of a roster so that,
Yes, yeah.
one boy comes for a bit, then he goes back, then another comes, and we're sort of hoping that they come in. Not only that, but I am sort of relying on them because, from a filming perspective, because I want them. They're all my drone operators.
Oh, right.
You
Okay.
see,
Yeah.
I can't
Some of
film
the
well. I
tech,
can't.
yeah.
It is technically possible to make the drone film me remotely, but it's so high risk.
Yeah.
Drones have a habit of basically nosediving for the water that realistically, so I don't lose my drone at sea, I've got to have it piloted by
Right.
someone on shore. Now that pilot is everybody from Nicola
Yeah.
this is to get shots of me, paddling along in the beautiful coastal scapes that we're going to come across.
Yeah.
Nicola's probably the primary drone operator.
I'm not taught. Yeah.
She's done very little flying, so maybe we'll lose it anyway in the sea. But the boys certainly, Thomas is an excellent drone operator, and what I'm saying is there's a sort of technical reason as
You
well.
need them to come for some of it. Yeah, yeah.
We do. There are, as with most families, there are tech experts as well. So if we get totally stumped by matters tech, they normally wade in and sort us out. So yeah,
sounds brilliant. So, and I understand that you are starting from Crinna. Is that right?
Yes.
In Scotland.
Crinan.
Crinan.
Crinan. Confusingly, there's more than one Crinan in Scotland, so people need to think, right, let's head our mental compass to the north, west stroke, west northwest side of Scotland. Think Isle of Jura, and on the mainland coast, facing the beautiful Isle of Jura, where Nicola and I had our honeymoon, coincidentally. So it's fond to, we're very fond of the area.
First wedding anniversary.
And our first wedding anniversary. So it's a sort of really important place to us. That actually isn't the inspiration for setting off there. People always ask this question: why are you taking off from Scotland? Well, that's because, okay, the most technically challenging, and I suppose I should say potentially dangerous stretch of coast is the northwest and the north coast of Scotland. It makes sense to sort of launch at the best weather window, which normally presents itself in June. If you look at the history of the Met of Scotland, normally it's June is the calmest, best period. That's why we're setting off from there. It's basically to get the northwest and north coast of Scotland out of the way. Yeah. So that when I turn right at John O'Groats, otherwise known as Duncansby Head, but for you and I, John O'Groats, and that compass needle goes boing to the south. Personally, I'm sure Nicola as well, I'm going to be breathing a huge sigh of relief because that really is the most technically pushy, putting it out there stretch. So that's why we're setting off from there. We're going in a clockwise fashion from Crinan.
I've just realised that. I don't know why. I had imagined you going the other way, but you're going clockwise, right?
It's an interesting thing. If you look at the history of kayak circumnavigations, 99% of them have gone clockwise. And the rationale is, okay, you've sort of got the favorable prevailing coast on the most exposed Atlantic side of mainland Britain. It's sort of either a quartering sea, coming from the rear quarter, or it's sort of behind you. There's this kind of logic that you try and go with the wind. So you're not beating into conditions. So that's why there's a sort of, over the years, circumnavigations have tended to go clockwise. Right. It's not to say people haven't attempted it anti-clockwise, but you tend to encounter worst conditions going that way. Right. So most people, this isn't a hero exercise for me, for us. I just want to make it round safely. I want to be in one piece at the other end. So, it's going to be a case of, as judiciously as I can, making assessments each day on the meteorology, on the sea conditions, and going when the windows suit.
So are you publishing a map of your route? Will that be on your YouTube channel? Yeah. Because that'd be lovely for people to sort of anticipate where you're going and maybe come out and kind of wave you on or cheer you on at the end of the beginning of the days or whatever. Yeah, it'd be lovely to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me a bit. So I know you're raising money for the National Migraine Centre, for which we are always very grateful and delighted, because we're a charity that is trying very hard to survive in this tricky world. But there are two other charities you're raising money for, aren't they? Parkinson's UK and the Atrial Fibrillation Society. So do you want to just mention why those are important to you as well?
you, Nicola?
Yeah, I can. So yeah, we've got friends and family who suffer with both of those conditions. So it became, we had, when we did the first circumnavigation, we did it for motor neuron disease because my uncle sadly had back then recently passed away with motor neuron disease. But yeah, recently we've got lots of friends and family that are suffering with atrial fibrillation. So it's not just sort of one person. We've just, over the last few years in our close circle, both my parents, Dominic's parent, all with atrial fibrillation, some of your kayaking friends.
Yeah,
So
it tends to be, I mean, okay, right, we've talked about the migraine. Yeah, look, Parkinson's, relatively recently, we've had very close friends of our friend of mine who was diagnosed with this, and that was a shock for everybody, obviously. And so there's a sort of near and dear connection. The atrial fibrillation is a sort of wider spread. We all know of people who have atrial fibrillation. It's probably the most common form of arrhythmia, and my understanding is that by the time we're all in our dotage, call it 80 plus, whatever, we're 1 in 3 of us is very likely to be suffering from atrial fibrillation. It's almost therefore become a sort of just an expected and unexpected condition, and it's a bizarre one because it's, to those who suffer it, and I have friends and family who suffer it, it's actually it's a horrible condition. Completely ruins your existence on different levels. Cycle people, they're worried about it. It literally, they can't walk up the stairs without being out of breath. I just felt, why on earth isn't there a cure, a better cure than just kind of taking people on these what do you call them? beta blockers and all this stuff?
Yes,
they have their own horrid side effects as well. And for something so common worldwide, why isn't there more exposure for this ultra common heart arrhythmia condition? Surely we need to get the kind of word out there that something be done for this condition. So that's really what it was. It was sort of friends, family having this issue. I just thought it needs some airtime. It needs exposure. So that's
the thing that links all three together is the fact they're all chronic conditions. And having lived with a chronic condition myself, I can absolutely feel for everybody. But also I felt that while doing some coastal meditations as I go around, we're going to choose some picturesque spots with Dominic's amazing eye as a TV cameraman, and we'll do some filming, and then I can use my hypnotherapy to do some really lovely relaxing meditations, which will help anybody suffering from chronic conditions. So I'll be posting those up as well, and we've shared the link on our YouTube channel for where you can listen to those meditations. So hopefully everybody that supports our journey can also be helped by our journey as well.
And I'm going to give another plug for your book because I was going to read out something that you wrote. So your book has a quote that says, "The fantasy storyline mirrors the emotional landscape of young migraine sufferers: fear, overwhelm, isolation, inner chaos, resilience, and the hope of a breakthrough." And when I read that, I thought that is really what I'm hearing from young people and adults with migraine is all of those effects. So hopefully the readers are going to encounter the techniques that you've learned as a hypnotherapist, including grounding techniques, visualizations, affirmations, distraction skills, the importance of laughter, movement, nature-based reset and support, and the principles of emotional regulation. I mean, it just sounds brilliant, Nicola. So I'm going to urge everybody, and we'll be following your journey closely, but urge everybody to buy the book and also to sponsor the two of you. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how it all goes.
Oh, I really appreciate your support. Thank you. It is only 99p at the moment for the ebook, so I got a little plug at the end. So it's not going to break the bank if anyone would like to sponsor me. But I'd also love to hear feedback. So I am going to be in the process of writing book 2 if I get any time in the journey, and I'm not doing all the editing. I want to start book 2 going. So it is a series. So any feedback on the first one to help me shape the second would be really helpful. So yes, if anyone wants to leave an Amazon review or a Goodreads review or anything to offer their thoughts on where book 2 might go, I'd be love to hear from everybody. If it's helped them, it'd be great to get the feedback.
Yeah, feedback and writing reviews, as you say, really important, aren't they, for other people to get access and to keep it up there on the list and things.
More people will find it, and hopefully it will help more people the more reviews I get. So hopefully that will happen.
So any final messages from you, Nicola, as a person with a chronic condition who you're managing? Do you want to sort of send out a sound bite to the world?
I think it's just don't give up on the hope. For me, the hope is everything. Everyone has their bad days when you feel like you're falling into that pit of despair and you just think you're not going to get through it. But tomorrow is always another day, and there is always something to be grateful for, even if it's just listening to the birds singing and just feeling the fresh air on your skin. So just keep out hope. There will be a cure one day. I'm absolutely sure of it. We've got the great minds on it. So
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get there. There's so much advice that the National Migraine Centre give as well. So I'll just a little plug to reach out to the National Migraine Centre if you need that help and you're struggling. And yeah, please do reach out to me. I would love to hear from anybody that's suffering and share my experience.
That's brilliant. Yes. And I think, one of the great things about being a headache specialist in the last few years is that we have had such a lot of new medications and new understanding, and there is still research work going on. So yes, it's certainly full of hope. I'm always saying to people, don't put up with it, go again, ask again. There may be something else. I don't think I've ever seen anybody who's tried everything, even though they think they have. So keep asking the questions. What about you, Dominic? Do you want to leave a message for listeners?
Well, I think I mirror Nicola's thoughts entirely. There's lots of hope. Think positively that there's always a way around that choke point when migraine intervenes, and there are lots and lots of sunlit uplands, to steal a quote, beyond those choke points. Okay, so in my experience, life goes on perfectly happily and well as long as you are prepared to adapt to your partner and their migraine. You can comfortably move on from that, and all's good. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Don't give up on your dreams.
Yeah, wonderful. So we will look forward to accompanying you on your journey, if only by video. And thank you so much for all that you're doing to raise awareness of migraine and to raise funds for those other charities as well. It's brilliant. And good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Heads Up podcast. Visit our website to book your appointment with a world-class headache doctor wherever you are in the UK. There is no need for a referral. You can refer yourself. Our headache specialist doctors are looking forward to helping you soon.